Democratic Party and President Bushamba. Adewole Adebayo. I would like to present his entourage to this very important interaction. Very important moment that oversee and runs not every president, but runs the affairs of the state with the presidential candidate is the vice president, who is Kano. Next to me is my deputy governor, next to me, a one-time presidential aspirant in this great party, and now the deputy director, Director General, Ajia Khadija Lani from Lagos, very active, very sincere. Next to her is one of the Nigerian Senate who represents Anambra State, Senator Ugochukwu. Next to him is among the campaign directors, Mr. President, Pastor Adewole Adebayo. Next to him is an elderly person who worked with two serving president this country, Older Godwin. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Next to him is one of my colleagues in team. Next to him is the deputy chairman, my dear person of the state, National Director, Business Technique. Next to him is the chairman, a great person of the state, Adewole Adebayo. Young achiever, there are a lot of leaders of the party in the state. The finance secretary is here, the PRO is here, legal advisor is here, the woman is also here, our electoral candidate found with us. The zonal vice chairman South is here with us. The zonal vice chairman also Central. Lives, one of the think tank of the presidential team. And also with us is Leslie Ibrahim, Ghana, chairman APCOM, within the party, but there was a relation known as APCOM, the chairman. And the next person standing is myself. Thank you very much. I welcome all of you to Kano. Your Excellency, will say that political parties watched us that when the presidential candidates contacted us. And as a result of that, we said, well, we are neutral, so we should interact with every presidential candidate. And I'm glad to say you are the first candidate to come for this internship. Delighted and we are grateful to have you in Kano. I'm also happy to say that we are happy that your running mate is also from Kano. I have known his family for a long time. His father very close to me. So we are glad that you have him as your candidate. You are the gubernatorial candidate came here. We had interacted with all the gubernatorial candidates, all the parties. We came to their employees and we discussed their movements and we told them what we expect them to do when they win the election. On my own part, and this is something personal, that I want to tell you that I was the campaign coordinator for Arewa when we contested the election. I was not a member of the party. I never held any card for any political party. But because of my personal relationship with him, he appointed me as coordinator. And I told him that time that the best person to coordinate his campaign was Adewole. So I had to use my influence to make sure that I vote to support so you are welcome. I would like to allow you to tell us because while we are interacting with you, because there are things that are related to Kano which the government can do, and that's what we discussed with the other. But we have realized that also we are Arewa Forum. There are things that we need to be done within the United States. And as president, only the president can do some of the things that are really problematic to us. For example, now, current government has started the gas pipeline. Would you want to see it completed in case it is not completed? President Buhari has started the rail from Kano to Kaduna, and they are working very hard to finish it. In case it is not finished, there's always the fear that once somebody comes new, he may abandon the projects that are being run by previous administration. In Kano, one of the things that is really worrying us is the issue of education. Yes. More than 80% of our youth, children that are not in school, and any government that we have to must address the issue of providing education. Again, the road from Kano to Kaduna, Kaduna to Abuja, again is being reconstructed by the current government. We have the fear that perhaps it will not be completed. Our airport, recently I went to Saudi Arabia and I almost cried when I saw the airport in Jeddah. Kano was the first airport in Nigeria, but I'm sure you've seen it. Of course, again, since the time of Jonathan is now the time of Buhari, 1972 made the airport. But we would like you, if you become the president, to give it international image. Agriculture is the backbone business of Kano people. You can see Your Excellency that now agriculture, new technology, what farmers can produce in a year in China or in Korea in one day, that can be produced. How will this help us to boost our agricultural production? We have to get down to generate power to Kano. Recently, the current government has been able to now provide 10 megawatts. But if the federal government can come and utilize together, we will have more power supply, which will now help us, help our industries. So these are the major things that we would like to address. And as a prince, we have Princess, unfortunately, Rabi, daughter from my area of the is not here. Happy to have you, and welcome all of you. I wish you happy and good. Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you, members of the forum, the executive of the forum. I'm grateful for the open-mindedness that not only the ACF, but the 6 members of the Arewa Consultative Committee have shown. I also could do that for the interactive session. I'm happy that you remember many of the things that are just discussed with our brothers and sisters. And I'm happy that even today, when I address the press at the Nigerian Journalist Press Center in Kano, it's as if you were there. You mentioned everything you mentioned here, you mentioned there. So the news, you see it later today. Kano, as I said, the palace, when I came several months ago, then I was an aspirant, not become the candidate of the party. I was still in contest with many aspirants, including my sister here, candidate like we were, when I said to the palace that Kano is a gift to Nigeria. It's our own Nigeria. Kano was there before Nigeria was created. And being the center of commerce and peace. And anyone commerce. And you have such a heritage. You see what the Lebanese have done with Peru. You see even Israel ones, they were not there before. Right? So I think that the responsibility of the government to take advantage of the commercial history, commercial capacity of the when you do that, you want to ensure that you stabilize trade, stabilize the currency management. You see that inflation comes down, and you also manage credit very well. The element of commercial justice in business in the country. Anybody who is used to banking, my vice president for many years, banking sector, you will see that Kano is a net surplus for banks. Banks take more from Kano than they give. And many businesses in Kano are cash rich, but there's no leverage. Like say, if you look at a center like Lagos, or you will see that they take more than they give to bank because of leverage. So we address that. Now, Kano Airport has been there active since 1998 and was the first airport in Nigeria. And the population of Kano has grown more than 1,000% since that time. And modernization of airports are taking place. I addressed that earlier today, and that we would give Kano a kind of facelift the airport. The expansion of the runway is long overdue. The runway we're using now started with runway that British wanted for their military during the war. Now we need to expand that. We need to build it, and we also need to work on a large cargo section because a lot of goods are supposed to move from here. In those days, we used to take Gomarabic all the way all over the Middle East. So we work on that. Not only the Tiga Dam that you mentioned, there's Tilawa Dam. There are other dams that we need to do because when the Adebayo was building those dams in those days, the petition was that subsequent government would work on them. And some of the dams are getting old. Some of them were built for diamond farming. So you need to bring better coverage now so that it can be used for intensive use like electricity and not just of it. We also need to build more markets, modernize the markets so that international people can come. But the market is not that useful if you don't build access to the market. So we need to expand the routes. It was General Babangida that did the globalization from Abuja to Kano during that thing we call the Gulf War reform. I think we had $12.5 billion at that time. And so they did the Fort Milan Bridge in Lagos, did Abuja infrastructure, international conference center, a few things. And a little slice of it was spread from Kano, Abuja Kano globalization. And the population has increased since that time. So the one they are doing now, to me, is just resurfacing and maintenance. There ought to be three things we need to do in that corridor. Number one, we need to run 2 lines of rail. One for passenger, which is purely for passenger, and the other one for cargo. So, and that one will pay for itself. Then we need to expand the road. And there's a design that they did in India called the coding quadrilateral. And that's what you need. If you take Abuja to Kano, and come from Zaria, when you get to Funtua Junction, you get to create an interchange that will allow you to flow. So that's what we will do for Kano. And then that will serve the other places. And we also need to take advantage of the fact that the flow of commerce in Lagos, in Kano, has turned. Kano originally was to face Sahara. That's all done over 1,500 years. But when the Portuguese came and later the British came, the Kano business turned towards Lagos. And there's a lot of bottleneck in that area. So we need to have a two-facing commercial platform where Kano is our gateway to Niger, Libya, Morocco, Algeria, even to Gulf of Aldi. Because traditionally there was a link between Sudan and Kano. And many of our ancestors came through that before passed through and went down south. So we need to be able to link up that up to the Gulf of Aden, Yemen, Saudi Arabia. So when you are able to do commerce both ways. And that is what I think. And I'm also interested in the environment. Because Kano has been lucky, but we can't count on love for too long. The desert will also be coming here. So this green belt that we if you look at the budget that the United Nations made for the green belt, we are a country that should not even rely on that. Because if you look at the wastage within our own fiscal situation, that green belt we should have been able to take care of it by ourselves. So we make all those investments. But for education, we need to have zero child out of school. Zero child out of school. Second thing, we need to dualize the track for our children. We need to do a reconciliation, whether both didactic and curriculum. And I'm sure I'm happy that Professor Bagay is here, so he's an expert in that area. We need to unify our curriculum so that they've done it in Turkey, done in other countries. You can learn Western and Islamic together. So you shouldn't have a two-track way where it looks like you finish one and you come back and do that. When I was growing up in Yoruba land, Asarudin had a model, the Asarudin school, so that you will come there and you learn both at the same time. So as you are doing your recital, or Quranic recital now, you are also writing your public examination. So we should do that model so that it doesn't look like one is opposite of the other. And then in the area of healthcare, because if you look at our population, especially around Kano and Northwest, it used to be a longevity belt for Nigeria. That longevity is reducing. And that's because we need to go back to primary healthcare. We need to also take care of a bit of secondary healthcare, managing things like people are presenting with diabetes, hypertension, you will see more of this in the population. So the federal government will assist in that regard. But most importantly, what we will do for Kano is to make sure that the government spending, if you look at it's a concept of social justice that we need to introduce into our government. And many countries that have the capacity to do that. When you look at the budget, you look at this year's 21 trillion budget, because they can't fund it well. If you do a geo analysis of it, it's not balanced. And the development must be balanced, not just for politics, but for those who study regional geography. You realize that countries that don't have balance tend to migrate talents from one location to another. So you have in large cities, people pouring away, because if you are not in the center of the city, you are cut out from commerce. So those are the things we are going to do. But I can assure you that all the plans we don't have fear that these plans will not be, because the most common mantra of Nigerian politics is that there's no money. But what is lacking in our government is not lack of money. What is lacking is lack of truth and justice. People must come to the public space with the aim to use one of money into public service. Forget about self. Come and serve people. Second, be fair and just and truthful in dealing with people. 3, take the resources of the people. Take your eyes off and use the resources of the people to take the people from where they are to a higher place. And in Nigeria today, in the summary of what we, the Social Democratic Party, have seen, we went back to what we campaigned with 30 years ago, favor to poverty. And at that time, when MK Abiola, Kingebe, Bakaremi, all the other leaders were going around to favor to poverty, poverty was not as terrible as it is today in terms of the quantity of people who are suffering poverty and the intensity of the poverty. So both qualitative and quantitative analysis, when you go to the y-axis or the x-axis, you will find out that the poverty has increased both ways. So now the poverty has now produced a grandchild because insecurity. So we now have to address, because we didn't address poverty at that time. We got a mandate, SDP, but we're not able to use the mandate. Now we're back to that. So that's what we're trying to do. And Kano is the epicenter of what many people escape from poverty all over the Sahel to come and settle in Kano. And Kano was working for everybody, and will work again. So there's no way Nigeria can escape poverty without allowing commercial centers like Kano to be able to have a life of its own. And our intention is that government must primarily intervene now. But with a plan that over 30 years, every 3 years, we recede by 5%, so that we can hand over the prosperity journey to the private sector, which Kano has a very strong experience in managing. So that's our approach.
Thank you very much. Now, I want to ask you about the local government funds. Will your government allow to make sure that the local government gives their money directly and that the fund is not being interfered by state governments. Two, you see, we are having this equal Boko Haram and so on. How do you want to tackle the issue of insurgency? You will realize that now the children of the poor people are having problems paying NEPO in their kids. When I did my WAEC exam in 1971, it's free. I attended Rumford College, my beddings, my books, my meal, everything was free. And now the children of those of us who have the means will sit for NEPO, sit for WAEC, and it is hurting majority of our people here who are not in a position to pay. Will you abolish the payment of fees? I think if you do that, it will really help our children. And then oil has been found very cheap again. We believe we will be able to ensure that the project is not deserted. It was started, one government came and funded it, and now it has been reactivated. And we here in the North are very delighted that government has put a lot of resources. We would like you to continue with that so that at least we will have some independence, or rather more revenue to federal government to Bauchi and Gombe, particularly to federal government in general. Now, then there is the issue of revenue. All what you have said you will do, where will you get the money? Right now, you see we have a deficit budget because the debt we are paying is more than the revenue we are going to get. So, in what way will you make sure that you boost revenue collection? I'm sure, like I told Alaji Bala when he came here, that in the next 3 years, I foresee that the money Kano State government is getting from federal government will shrink. We may not even get half of that. Oil is price is because of now Russia and Ukraine war, but you will see that electric cars are being manufactured. Cars that will only use 1 liter of water to take you 100 kilometers are being manufactured. So our reliance on oil will not help us going forward. And then finally, you see, oil has been discovered now in Bauchi. And we know that there are minerals in Kano. Like now we can see why the insurgency is taking place is because there is gold. This is what we have been told that bandits are after the resources in that area. How would you help Kano to make sure that we mine the minerals we have in the state? But let me ask my colleagues so that we just allow you, we don't have to continue taking.
Okay, let me just take this one.
But I have one from, I think it's from Aja.
Let's take this one first, then we'll carry that on as well.
Okay.
So I will don't sweep anyone. One, with respect to local government fund, it's a constitutional issue. And it can easily be taken care of. One, the local government is recognized as a seven of the Constitution. Beyond that, it deals with chronogram administration in the state force. Now, I can guarantee you that anywhere you have an SDP government, starting from Kano, local government funds
will be left in the government. And he was also in the old Nassau local government. He was local government chair, and he did wonders. People still remember him, both higher and low, for what he did there. And in many of the states, in fact, Senator Oba, when he ran for governor of Anambra State, one of the major plans is the local government must work. And so now that's at our level. So at the federal government level, at the state level, wherever we are, we make sure that local government money is not. We also want to go beyond that to make sure that not only the money we are giving to the rest of the federation account, that there are some revenue centers that they have, which have also been confiscated by the state, and that those revenue centers will be given to them. Of course, it also means that they will have to discharge their own responsibilities, which they are also virtually abandoned now. Now, for general places where we may not be the party in that state, the legal framework is that the Accountant General of the Federation is by law actually an officer of the Federation, not an officer of the federal government. And I want to desist from a situation where I take advantage of the fact that I'm the federal government and start to interfere with Federation officers, like Attorney General of the Federation, Auditor General of the Federation, Accountant General of the Federation, Superior General of the Federation. I want those ones to be independent of one arm of the government. But the mechanism we are going to use is to ensure that there is a device in the Constitution called State Local Government Joint Account. And that we will define it properly. Because that's where the governors, in the name of saying, we want to get local government to join together and manage it, they can put the deputy governor there, sometimes the governor himself, or commissioner for local government affairs, to start to say, okay, we got this money, we've done something for us, sanitize that clearly, and local government get the money they want. But we are going to be in partnership with local government, federal level, in developmental objectives. So there will be some intervention we are going to make directly to local government as partners. For example, we want to do like the World Ministry of Disaster Management is doing now, and the Nigerian affairs is saying that they are doing school feeding. We can't, federal government will not directly do those things. We start to work. Now, with respect to education, education is supposed to be free, not as a matter of party manifesto, but as a matter of Chapter 2 of the Nigerian Constitution. Because abolition of illiteracy is a national mandate. And you cannot abolish illiteracy without abolishing poverty. So, social investment is meant to be made in the people. And social investment comes in four ways. Social investment comes through nutrition, providing food for the people, two, providing education, providing healthcare, providing housing. So you cannot take from the people what they don't have. So we will abolish that. But there are state schools because education is concurrent. There are state schools. So what we intend to do in our time is that instead of taking our money and mandating state schools and the governors will not pay, we are going to create a federal government college in each of the federal constituencies. Why are you calling it federal constituency? It doesn't have federal infrastructure in it. So it's not just merely for delineation of people who are going to come and contest election. It's that in the federal constituency, each one must have a federal presence. So federal infrastructure will be there, and one of it is the federal government. And it also reduce the artificial competition that will make our children to compete. So when you are a child that's 9 years old, you already know your state of origin, things like that, which is not necessary. You are already competing at that level. So we will not make sure we invest in that. Now, with respect to the issue of money, where money is coming from, the money is coming from the pocket of the politicians. So that's where our money is. Our money is not this. Nigeria has more money now. Kano State is receiving more money now than the entire 19 states under about the. So our problem is not money. Our problem is deficit of character, deficit of honesty, deficit of commitment. And that is why they're running a deficit budget. Because when you have deficit of character, that deficit will extend to everything we touch. So this year's budget, it should be called Bahama budget. Because why is that?
I like that.
It is like you ask, and I'm saying it with respect, you ask bank robbers that after they have robbed the bank and taken all the money away with their mask and gun, they should come in the night and do balance sheet for the bank. So that is what we are facing. What people in government do is that they are reporting only 7% of the budget, 7% of our revenue. That's what they are reporting. And that was why you will know that what I've been known for in the country has been the person, even when I was an aspirant, who was saying that our crude oil is being stolen. I was making noise about it, and media was looking, how do we know? Are you in government? But I keep saying 80% of our crude is being stolen. Because I did the investigation and found out that there's still 80% of crude. So for you to say, oh, there's no money, when they are stealing the crude, they are stealing the crude in large vessels. And the company that are selling the crude are the same company that are officially under contract to sign to sell crude for NPC. And the countries that they are taking them to, including Holland, the bank money is going to Switzerland, the same thing where they take the money. So, and I've spoken to the Dutch about it, I've spoken to other people about it. So they are stealing the crude. So when you are stealing the crude and you are coming to report that we don't have money, that's too much for an honest person to take. So if we capture this revenue, put them in the books, if we offer flights, even at Kano Airport here, the BASA agreement fees, the offer fee, they don't account for it. Nigeria has in gas reserve. The gas we have is 300 times the entire GDP of America. Everything America has worked for since the creation of 1776 till today, even from the time they were 13 colonies, all the wealth they created, we have gas, which is 300 times that. So, and we're on the 8th train of our LNG, but you never have anybody come out and address you. This is how much money the has got from gas, what the money is. So, Kumani, which we have now, is our lowest oil field. We will learn 3 lessons in Kumani. Number 1, we learn accountability, so that the fact that you have on, if you look at the picture of Gombe, Bauchi, and there are other belts that has influence for those who study geology. If you look at the orogenic movement, there's no way you could have a basin in Bauchi with crude oil. It shows to you that you have more in the charge area. You have more than Hamburg and all of that. That's how oil works. In fact, the oil that we discover in Mega Delta is part of a north-south orogenic movement millions of years ago. So you have pockets, then all around. But before we say Alhamdulillah for that, we have to look at what happened to those places that discovered oil in 1956. We have to learn the second lesson, that we must use that money to develop the area. Thirdly, that we must not destroy the environment. Because I'm happy that we discover oil in money and we're working on it. But in terms of what is between from Ashaka down, Gombe, Bauchi, up to the Numan, or that area, the amount, if we value the resources we have, crude oil will be like number 25. So there are better minerals and other things that we have. Even the surface, the agriculture alone is much more. So you don't destroy your first 24 best assets because of your 25th one, because that one's easier to catch. So we need to be careful in dealing with that. And so we will continue and we will manage these resources. But the most important thing we need to realize is that in this country, a government of honest people is the solution we have now. And if you don't have that honesty, it doesn't matter if you magically describe other things. We have good in we have some rare earth minerals that are used. We have cobalt. Even in Abuja now, you see them already taking lithium and other things. So we have enough resources. If you take one state in Nigeria, even Kogi State. That's all we have. We don't need any other thing. Many of the countries that our people go to, Germany, many of them, they don't have what Kano has. Whether the land size, whether the richness of the land, whether everything. So what we need to do is to have a government that's accountable. It doesn't matter where the leader of that government comes from. If they are not pure in their heart and they are not moved by love of people, all the resources will not make a difference. And that is where we are selecting people from place to place who, not because they have the power or the money, we are selecting people that they have the conscience, they have the knowledge, they have the commitment to serve the country and serve the people.
Thank you very much. The last two questions coming from my colleagues. One is your plan for youth, women, and people with disabilities. And the last one is how SDP in Nigeria for consumer nation.
Okay, let me start with the last part. That expression has been made popular in recent times. But in economics, it doesn't make any sense because economics is cycle, consumption and production. So if you have a country that is a producer and doesn't consume, the economy will collapse. You have deflation. That's why many countries have limitation in their growth. That's why they're looking for markets. So what I think we should do is to do what Balewa tried to do for us, which is to make complete because of what happened. Balewa wanted us to have an ability to do what they call import substitution. That is to say, everything we used to import, we produce it. That's why it started as a quota steel, so that we will not be importing steel into the country. That's why it started the industrialization that they did at the beginning. So we will go back to that. Go back to this. Whereby we will be a nation that consumes, that will consume what we produce. And further, we can also become a net exporter. But every country that is within the WTO is hoping to become a net exporter. But so who is going to be the net importer? What we see is that we will go back to what Gawan now tried to do, which is comparative advantage. We look at areas in which we have advantage and we try to now develop industry around that. And that's what we look at. So we would work very hard to ensure, for example, ginger, where ginger, cassava, gum arabic, and many other products that here. Even the neem tree that we have around. For me, I have experience of statistics that produce drugs. Is one of the most cherished base for drugs and also cannabis. So we have them all around. So all we need to do is to make sure that we pay attention to the curation and husbandry of these resources. Now, when it comes to dealing with, because I missed one topic, security. Security is the primary reason you have a government. So that one is not even a manifesto item. If a government cannot maintain the territorial integrity of the country or state, that ceases to be a government. For about 2 months or so, the northern half of Adamawa State was under Boko Haram. And there are places in Borno, some places in Zamfara, okay, even some part of Niger states that the government of Nigeria is not in full control. And there are 3 problems that I analyzed them over the month, so I now find solutions to them. One of them is that you must set up a government that is not in partnership with crowd. And when you say that, it doesn't mean that the president, the governor, or the ministers go and hold meeting with criminals. No, what it means is that if you create a security architecture that allows people who run the security not to rely on their salary, but they rely on procurement and the money they spend. So you will be expanding your security spending so much that people who are in this sector will become billionaires, multi-billionaires, and they will continue to perpetuate this thing, and that we have suffered that. Secondly, we will ensure that the people in charge of our security architecture are not competing with one another. I've analyzed it many times on television, giving a sample of how the coordination has been weak, but they're not working in solidarity, they're working against one another. Thirdly, those who man our security, because security is a human managed system. You cannot have policemen who cannot rely on the salary. Soldiers cannot rely on the salary. Airmen cannot rely on the salary. Naval ratings who cannot rely on the salary. The other time, when we said about the next cycle, you will see that even on in the water, those who travel around still have a system by which they pay homage to those naval ratings there. And then when you see the balance of many ships there, you will know that they have come to stay. So we need to make sure that we govern, and the commander-in-chief is the president. And there has to be someone, the fact that you are a soldier before doesn't mean you be a good commander-in-chief. What it means is that you must have a sense of coordination, you must have a sense of controlling your men, know what they are doing on the field, and the top echelon of your leadership must be people who hate crime, who hate criminality, and who are not there to enlarge their post or build empires. So we will deal with that. And then there are some elements of it which we are debating because of how sensitive our politics is. So we must deal with it. We must restore the ability of traditional rulers to play very active and proactive role. That we must do. We must also restore the native authority, anyhow we need to do. If we don't restore the native authority, we will have a lot of problems. Because we used to have native authority police. I know for someone who's a follower of I should have been one of those people who will be praising native authority police because NAPO members not like because they were using them to harass. They play a major role in making sure the community is safe. That criminality is making involved. So for that reason, any law-making tier of government must also have law enforcement tier, and we must manage that very well. That way, you will not rely on somebody in Abuja to maintain security in Nigeria. What if there are local people there are able to do that? So we address that. There's another question that you asked. I think okay, you see, if we look at chapter 2 of our Constitution and chapter 4 of our Constitution, one is on fundamental justice and the right principle of state policy. One on fundamental human rights. Both, if you combine them together, it says that nobody should be discriminated against by the circumstances of their life, how they were born, their disability. Secondly, it says that we must invest in our people. So I worked in America for many years as a lawyer, and we have a law called ADA, Americans with Disability Act. In fact, ironically, it was Joe Biden, when he was a senator, that passed that law. Now he's president. And that law is that in every planning you do, even building your own building in your house, you must provide for people with disability. So if you go to a local government, they will not approve the house unless you have a ramp for somebody who has the ability to be able to climb. If you are working as a contractor for government, they will ask you how many people with disability are in your employment. The same thing, they have affirmative action. They will ask you how many women are there, and things like that. But traditionally, our religion, our conscience, our culture says that these are the people who must provide for. And if you look at if you are contributing zakat, none of that, who are the people who take priority? Widows, people with disability, and all the rest of them. So we must have a government that has a social conscience. That's the government we are going to have. Then, when I was addressing the women in Abuja, I said I have two angles toward which I approach women. One angle is equality. The equality is that it's equal opportunity. So you first and say you don't say women should not go to school, women should not drive, women should not do profession. Start with that. Second is equity. You look at historical injustices that have been done to women. Then you make further investments in that. You also look at the gap that women have in terms of biology and things like that. So if you have a workplace, you must make the workplace so conducive that women can still keep their family. They can go home, have their children, and come back. So those are the things we need to do. But if you remove 4 things from Nigeria, women will be happy. One, you have to remove violence. The women suffer that the most, both public violence, private and domestic violence. Second, if you remove corruption, cheating, it means that you have more money to spend on social needs. Children will be in school, husband will get a job, the family will be stable, women can do their business fairly. 3, you remove discrimination from our laws. And I don't want anyone to tell me that our religion sanctions certain discrimination. No. If you look at our sister countries all over the world who have the same religion with us, you can see Indonesia, you can see Malaysia, you can see Turkey, you can see even Saudi Arabia now, the rulership that is there now, are making rapid improvement. If you go to UAE, you see that the women are managing very serious infrastructure. What people don't know, I'm a fellow child administrators in Singapore, and I did a lot of work in Singapore. What people don't know about Singapore is also it has a lot of Islamic people. It's an Islamic country in Singapore. People don't know that. And you see that young ladies, Islamically compliant, are managing heavy resources. Many of the countries that they don't allow their women to manage their resources and carry out their wealth and put it in Singapore. You're surprised that women actually managing for them from there. So we would do that for the women. For the youth, it is participation that the youth need. I talk about Madam Sonko, talk about our leader, Madam Kano, Adewole, many of our leaders. They were youths too. The one I don't subscribe to is the notion of youth taking youth as a disability. So when you're categorizing people blind, crippled, then you say youth. No, youth is being young is an opportunity, it's not a disability. It means that, for example, all the youth you see when I was addressing them, the NSAS people, and they say the police is killing you. I said, all over the world, who do you find the police? The youth. Because most people don't join police. You join police when you are youth. You spend most of your time policing when you are youth. They all can run after and jump over the fence. So why don't you find good youth, put them in the police? Then all of these issues go away. So those are the things. It is participation. But on the last note regarding youth, the best place for a country, the best gift a country can give to the youth is a good family. Which means that the government must not run its affairs such a way that we can destroy family. You must be able not to take drastic actions that put family apart. When wages are so low that the family head cannot maintain authority, when you cannot maintain family, you are destroying the family. When you keep the family out of jail for so long, you deprive them and they lose their children because a hungry child in adolescence will not stay at home. So they will go out and they are on the street to destroy the family already. So we make sure that the family is working out. Secondly, that the youth are captured immediately and put in school. So before you leave school, even if I wanted to be rascally when I was young, I didn't have an opportunity. Because I started school before I opened my eyes, and by the time I was 17, I was already entering IFE to study law. I did my 18th birthday already as a law student. So, and I didn't finish school until master's degree and became a lawyer. So, whatever rascality is in me, that's what I'm using for politics now. Because I didn't have an opportunity to use it at all. So, if we do that for youth, by the time they are becoming adults, they're very useful. And I will use one as a sample. I said, look at the life of President Buhari. If Ahmadu Bello government was like the one he's running now, he will be following cattle for the rest of the time. But in his young age, they took him and put him in the nursery primary school. From the nursery primary school, he went to nursery secondary school. From there, he went to army with body. From there, he spent his career in the army. He's still in the boarding house now in the villa. So if the government can do that for you, why would you not do that? Recently, I was addressing some of my friends who are 30 years after leaving Arewa. Look at what Arewa College has contributed. Government college, Bida, and all these schools, Chikoto Middle School. So why are we now pretending as if we didn't know how our fathers and mothers did it? So we are just pretending. We need to be serious.
Thank you. I thought we have the final question that one of our SPA members sent a note here that he wants you to say how you will fight corruption, and then how you make sure that the dredging of River Niger is done. And then the third question is balancing the civil service. We have the federal corruption, but it appears like some section of the country are dominating civil service. So these are the three questions: dredging of Niger, fighting corruption, and balancing the civil service.
Okay, let me start with corruption. Corruption, unlike what people are saying, corruption is the easiest thing to fight. Corruption is the easiest thing to fight, provided that you are fighting your own corruption. That was why Adebayo, and all of them, they had no EFCC in their time, but they were fighting corruption with personal example. What is worrying the people in government today, from 1999 to today, is that they want to fight corruption in your own house, not your own. So EFCC was not set up to fight corruption inside the government. It was set to fight corruption for those who agree with it. So it's not as if corruption is hard to fight, it's that they are not fighting it. When you want to fight corruption, you start fighting corruption from where you are campaigning for. And that's why this SGP, we are careful whose money we collect. Because when some people came the other time and said, we're going to fight corruption, we're going to fight corruption, I looked at them. Why do you look like Easter Friday, where the honest man is in the middle, and the one tip on the right, and one tip on the left? So why are you going to fight corruption? When the person who is benefiting from the thing you say you want to remove is the one who shattered the plane and carried it to the parade ground when you're doing campaign. When you are having artificially glossy picture of you hanging all over every kilometer, you have 10,000 people, and somebody is paying for it, and you say you want to fight corruption. That's why we are careful. You start fighting corruption and not running a corrupt campaign. So that's that. So that when you get to power, when you are taking oath of office, you don't have to shout, you don't belong to somebody else. Because right from the beginning, you manage the way you start. That's number one. Number two, the job of a government, the only two people who can enter government, president and vice president. Every other person, after inauguration, every place empty. So it is your hand you will use to remove the people who are going to come inside government. So if they are corrupt, you are the cause of that corruption, because you are the one appointing all of them. Third, the job of a government is to fight corruption inside the government. It is not the job of the government to fight corruption on the street. Fighting corruption on the street is for police and law enforcement. The job of government is to fight corruption inside the government. And the advantage of that is to fight corruption inside the government, starting from you, your wife, your family members. The thief outside will be afraid because inside government there's no party. But the criminality you see in Nigeria today on the street, the headquarters is inside the villa. So when you now talk to them, they look at you and laugh. Because the person who sent them is inside the villa. So, and that is why we need to not make a music out of it. Just see that a lot of personal example, you will see the corruption. Now, with respect to dredging, what we need to do is that first, even if we don't have commercial sense, which must have, the silting of the two major rivers we have, the silting of the river, they are reducing in depth. So you will see them, you look at there's no water, there's a lot of water below. because for some reasons, we have entered some agreements with neighboring countries because the waters we have in Nigeria are mainly international waters, don't belong to us. So you know that from Kutajalo, we have Niger, and from the hills in Cameroon, we have Benue. So in those countries, they have they have the primary right of use because they are upstream vessels, principle in international law of upstream and downstream water management. So they are upstream. So the second in the Niger we did better in that we said don't use your upstream right, let the water flow to us to build Kanji, Iroro, and other dams. But in the Benue side, maybe because they are French speaking, I don't know what the issue is, what to tell you about. But or maybe because Ahijo was a very certain president of Cameroon, decided to build the Lado Dam before we did our own. So we didn't build our own. So for two reasons, when the water is dry, when the dry season, we don't have enough, lot of CO2. During wet season, we have too much, we have flooding. So we will manage those two by completing all these dams. Secondly, the navigational rights over the water. You will see that many people who join the nation from Benue, from Edo, from all those Kogi, they saw the Navy. You will see the Navy in the Bosom. You will see the Navy in Adenegode. You will see the Navy in Lokoja. You will see the Navy in Baro. So that way, we'll have to do it. The other time, journalists, I don't know whether they read anymore. The other time when the Nigerian Navy was trying to put a base in the north, the Navy is supposed to be by the sea, but you don't understand. If you look at the Mississippi River in America, Colorado River, you see that the US Navy is all of them. So we'll make sure. So we'll dress very well. But another thing we're going to do beyond what they are doing is that we're going to do what we call tributary development. Because most of our states are named after river. Sokoto River, all these are, we have rivers. So many of these rivers, including Kora River, we also dredge them so that they can become navigable and we can use them for agriculture. So we have to do it. But the good thing about it is that the money to do is not because many of them have immediate commercial value. So many of the cement, everything they are carrying, gas, and all of that, they can be carried over these waters. And then there's the last
civil service.
Civil service. You see, the issue is this: we are fighting, we refuse to grow in Nigeria. It's unfortunate. You know, if you read a newspaper owned by Nnamdi Azikiwe, it's called The Comment. In 1959, I had a headline. The very headline, I kept the paper, maybe I'll put it in my memory. The title of the headline is The Malams Are Coming. Why? Because that was the first time Northerners were joining federal civil service. And God had a unified civil service. And he went to the East region and said, contribute your people to the civil service. So innocent people, like Thomas Sule, Shagari, young people, I don't tell me, who were some of middle school teachers, they were persuaded that we want a quota to fill the civil service. Come and join. Many of them don't want to come because they didn't want to leave their work here. But people in Lagos did not know that these people didn't want to come anyway. They are coming out of national obligation. But when they saw them, they wrote, the Malams are coming. So as if they are going to take over the civil service. As a result, two things happened. The regional services also donated some of their best brains to the federal government. In fact, I remember that there's a man called Adewole Adebayo. He was head of service for Western region. All pressure was put on Adewole to send him to the center. He said, why would I send my best brain to the center? So he refused to send him. He kept him. So when it comes to balancing your budget, running your civil service, efficiency, as much as Adewole Adebayo and Adewole didn't agree on much in politics, but Adewole Adebayo was always talking to Adewole to say, can you release Adewole to me for just 6 months? I want to come and work with me in the Northern Nigeria civil service. So what I want to do is that I will not get into all of these things. Most of them are not even serving for civil servants. They're only using quota and they're all sitting down there and they are friends. So if you go to general services, civil service, the man from Anambra State, who is a permanent secretary here, after accumulating money, wants to stay, and they post into water resources. He will call his friend from health, come and manage this place for me. They meet his civil service club and start to share the money. So, and then when they take promotion exam, they say, oh, from this. So what I want to do is that we must first reform the civil service and restore it back to what it was in the time of Majorda, Philip Asiodu, the rest of them. My uncle, Eric Adewole, was one of the super permanent secretaries. He had a very good civil service, which definitely regime destroyed it. So we need to restore that civil service first. Secondly, we need to expand the civil service from just because Nigeria is undermanned. And the problem we have is that we couldn't expand the civil service. Why? Because of problem of recurrent budget. So every time our recurrent budget is too big. So we can't expand the civil service. There are many vacancies. So the only way you can become a permanent secretary is somebody dies, arrested by EFCC, or dies. So many people are now incubated at assistant director, doctor director level, they're restless. Whereas what we need to do is that we need to expand our revenue so that as our population is growing, we can actually expand the civil services. And in civil services like water resources, we have a director of that. I don't want to have a director of that. I want to have permanent secretary dams. Because I want to build so many dams that the directorate cannot run it. So if you go to Ministry of Health, primary healthcare, secondary healthcare, and all of these things, they are all fighting there for the budget. Whereas I can just have a permanent secretary in charge of primary healthcare. So I will expand it and everybody will be accommodated. And then the best brain will go to public services. And if, for example, a teacher is earning well, is living well, then people will not run away from certain public services and run to the civil service because of contract award and they do all that. So we'll balance it. To say whether you want to serve your country, nobody will stop you. In those days, if you graduated from school, you guys post on Telegram will invite you for employment. Railway will invite for employment. The school you graduated from will invite you. Native authority will invite you. Private company will invite you. So you're not jealous of anybody. So that is what we want to go.
Thank you very much. So, without taking more time, I'll call on Professor Kano to deliver the vote of thanks.
Your Excellency and entourage, we thank you very much for honoring our invitation to come and explain us. We also thank members of the press who are here, and I would like also to thank members of the ESCO for attending this well-informed discussion. If you don't mind, say the votes of thanks, but also say that we are impressed by such of a generalist. We feel like the audience here, teacher, they are economists, so we wish you all the best, and we should say that thank you. Great
I will get this. Hold on for me.
We are having it here. Okay.
They said I want to pay
Yes. Now, people don't finish. No. Okay. Go back up. Yes, sir. I don't go back a bit. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, you go pan now. Pan. Yes.
Yes, sir. Okay. So we can take that now. Yeah. That's virtual, right? Yeah.
I want to do it.
Okay. Are you satisfied? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.